Welcome to the Lions Roar podcast, the official podcast of Calvary Baptist Academy. I'm Dr. David Warren, head of school here at Calvary Baptist Academy, and we're excited to share with you stories and conversations and insights that highlight the mission of Calvary Baptist Academy and its history and founding. We're really excited today to have someone with us who's a graduate of Calvary Baptist Academy and who has come back to minister to us and listen to a little bit about his story and how Calvary has impacted his story and just hear how God's working in his life. And so we're looking forward to the conversation. So Ben Everson, welcome to the Lions Roar podcast.
Hey, it's awesome to be here. This is great.
Well, let's just start right from the beginning. Let's go down memory lane a little bit. Tell me a little bit about how your family came to Midland, came to Calvary Baptist Academy. How did they come to be a part of the church and school here?
Yeah, well, I mean, my dad grew up in Midland. My mother grew up in Saginaw, but they didn't meet until college. And they got married in 1975, and I was born in 1977.
And your dad went to college at?
Michigan State University.
I'll let you say it to get it out of the way.
Well, see, you know, I didn't know if we wanted to bring up controversy this early.
Go blue. Yeah. And, you're going to say go green.
Go green, yeah.
Ben and I actually, we'll get to that, but we're friends from high school. Ben was a little bit younger, but our paths crossed there. And now in adult life, we have a little traveling trophy Ben started. So that's kind of fun. It's the Paul Bunyan Trophy.
It's been sitting at his house for a lot longer than I want.
But there was a few years ago when unexpectedly it landed in your backyard.
Yep, that's right.
We send it back and forth to whoever wins the Michigan State game each year.
It's a cool thing.
And I know that goes back to you. To your dad was in the marching band. And part of that.
In fact, on a musical level, he also spent time at the University of Michigan. So he learned a lot there too, but then he ended up teaching at Delta for all my childhood and growing up here. That's where he taught, and of course they were looking for a Christian school to put me in, and came upon Calvary back in the early '80s. Can't remember if it was '82 or '83, something like that.
Okay,
and that's how we got here.
So what grade were you in at that time, and what were your siblings? Tell me a little bit that.
Yeah. So K-5. So I started in K-5. I don't know if they had K-4 at the time, but I know I started in K-5, and I'm the oldest of five.
Okay.
And there's about 3 years between each one of us.
Okay.
So it's me, sister, brother.
Very well planned.
Yeah. I'm sure they planned it out that way. I doubt that. But
so you went to Calvary from K-5 all the way through graduation.
Absolutely.
And that's a pretty neat accomplishment. So tell me a little bit about your Calvary days and what are some of your memories from Calvary Baptist Academy?
Oh man. Well, it's of course too much to talk about at detail, and
sure,
I could go on for days and days, but I mean, Calvary formed my whole worldview in so many different ways. Everything from socially to hanging out with my friends, learning how to interact, how to disagree, how to handle annoying classmates, how to be the annoying classmate. I had plenty of practice on that, I'm sure. But
probably provided some opportunities for others.
Absolutely. I mean, I can tell you a funny story. I was in third grade sitting in the back during math class, and I was sitting by Lisa Monroe.
Okay.
Of course, she's married now, so she's got her married name. But
Lisa's dad, I sometimes interrupt just to provide context, right? Because there's lots of families that have history, and some that are new to Calvary. But Lisa's dad, Carl, two things. One, he was one of the founding members of the school.
That's right.
And then secondly, we have the Carl Monroe Award every year, which is for our Volunteer of the Year.
Oh, I love that.
Carl volunteered so much time to the school.
And I had forgotten that. Yeah. I mean, I knew that, but I'd forgotten that. But we're sitting in the back of math class, and I start firing brownie crumbs at the clock with a ruler. That's kind of the elementary kid that I was.
Yeah.
Right. Pew, pew. And of course, I got in trouble for that and such. But my teachers were caring. They weren't just viewing me as an inconvenience. They reached out.
Yeah.
They discipled me. Really, is what it is.
Are there a particular teacher that you remember that want to? You hate to say it because there's lots of teachers in there.
Right.
But a favorite, or at least one that you remember fondly for different reasons.
Well, Mrs. Walker, I had her. Of course, then her husband passed. She remarried Mrs. Klink, but I knew her as Mrs. Walker.
Yeah.
She was my first grade, and then she switched to fifth grade.
Yeah.
One of the most helpful things she ever told me, because she said, "You're going to be in ministry one day."
Wow.
And she had a little bit different view of what that would be. She thought I might end up in more of a medical type field.
Okay.
Which would be scary.
Dr. Everson.
Yeah, but for anyway. But she told me something so helpful that I've used. She said, when you are ministering to somebody who's gone through a loss, never tell them you understand what they're going through unless you really do. Instead, just say, I am so sorry for what you're going through. And I've used that so much.
That's great.
Isn't that practical?
Yeah, just an interesting thing. Last week, we shared with our parents at our last coffee talk. It was our first coffee talk. And the idea of coffee talk for parents, if you haven't been following along, so we're inviting you to come in and just have a discussion around different topics that we as parents face. And last week's topic was about 3 things every child needs to hear from mom and dad. And one of those, of course, is I love you, and then I'm proud of you, and you're good at, and projecting not just ability type things, but even character things. I noticed you're kind or whatever, and helping project, though, how God could use that in their life in the future. And that's not just from parents, but we've had that same conversation about those 3 things from our teachers. Yeah. And hearing how Mrs. Walker said to you, hey,
Perfect.
I see these gifts in you, and God's going to use those someday. And that got you thinking that direction of maybe I could do that. And
Absolutely.
And who knows what the Lord will do. So
she said, use your humor to help people. And I
comedian.
I did. Because sometimes the class clown label can be applied, and I remember that because I did like to make people laugh. But she turned that into a positive thing, and that really impacted me in elementary.
Yeah, she spoke at our shared a little bit at our 50th anniversary.
Wow.
And so,
that's great.
She's still around and has lots of stories.
Yeah, I saw her last night.
Yeah, she's amazing. So, and she's a Michigan fan, by the way. Go Blues.
Well, no one's perfect, but
so there's that. How about as you got into junior high and high school, tell me a little bit about the shaping influence that Calvary had that you maybe didn't see in those moments, but looking back, how God was preparing you for what you do now. For those that don't know and haven't maybe really picked up on it, I think probably most of you have, because you might have been there on parent or on our special night last night with our school night at the special meetings. But Ben's an evangelist, so he goes around and preaches and teaches the Word of God. But primarily, he's probably known as much for his music as for that part of his ministry, and has released a number of albums and CDs and things, and had the privilege of using music to glorify God. But how did that start for you in junior high and high school, and then continue?
So are we
today?
talking a cappella yet?
We can get there. Yeah.
I mean, okay, because I could set. It depends on what road
I think
we
that's
want to
part
go.
of the story. For
It
sure.
is part of the story. That's
Yeah.
for sure. So there were 2 tracks that were going on musically in my life at that point. One was I was recording a cappella kind of on my own.
And let me interject real quick, because I think you're on the. I know where you're going.
Right.
But your parents were obviously, your dad taught music and such, very musical. Your parents even taught in the school at Calvary, some doing lessons and choirs.
My mom was choir director.
Your mom did quite a bit, and whatever your mom did, your dad was dragged along to accompany and be a part of. So, he was always around with her,
Right.
even if it was her main gig kind of a thing.
Right.
So I know that influenced our students in our school, but it had to be in your home then. So there was this musical thing going on already.
Exactly.
And so
right.
then I'll let you keep the story going.
Yes. Well, I mean, I started recording into cassette recorders, but I really didn't do a lot of music in elementary. In fact, I was told by the music faculty at the time, I've been told that I was the only kid that did not make it into the elementary choir because they said I couldn't match pitch. Well, what was happening was the teacher was playing up in the girls' octave, and I was trying to match that octave. So, and my voice had changed in 6th grade. So I'm like, and I couldn't sing it. And they're like, well, you're not going to make it in the elementary choir. So I have that distinction.
Yeah, well, Michael Jordan did make his sophomore basketball.
There you go. There you go.
So, it all works out.
But, I was learning so much. I started playing trumpet in band. I learned so much in band, and then, of course, in the choir groups, and started getting put with different people to sing duets or trios or things like that. So I was doing that track kind of in the classroom. But then I started really experimenting on my own, layering my voices using cassettes and even reel-to-reel, and that's where he comes in. because he is
Not
one of
really.
only two people. Yeah, he's one of only two people that ever recorded with me. Nate Wheeler's the other,
Okay.
on reel to reel.
Your bar was low.
I mean, I don't even know how we ended up doing that, but
I was at your house just hanging out, and I had
Yeah.
a curiosity, I think.
it's like,
and-
come on, let's do this.
Yeah.
So somewhere is are probably those real. Maybe they got recorded over. I don't know, but
Were they on the reels, or was it I think there was a time when it was just the regular cassette too.
well, there was some point when I borrowed a cassette, and this might get a little technical for folks, but Tascam was a company that used to make these Porta Studios.
Yep.
And you could use a cassette to record all directions going the same way on a cassette. For those of you who know what that means, so a cassette is like a four lane highway with left and right going one way and left and right going the other. When you flip the tape over, this would have all 4 lanes going one way.
So you could get more layers.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you could put 4 voices on, and then you could even dump those off, etc. But anyway, so it could have been that. It could have been that. Because I kind of lose track of which thing, because I was doing multiple things at the time. But
I remember the studio was very soundproof. It was your bedroom. I think,
there was like towels up everywhere.
Be quiet.
Yeah, that was another method of soundproofing. But I had the struggles just like any 7th, 8th, even 9th grader.
Yeah.
I wanted to be my own person, but at the same time, I actually liked my teachers.
Sure.
A lot of people think that you've got to go through this rebellion where you just hate all authority and all that. I questioned authority. I wanted to know, do we believe this because it's true or because you say it?
Yeah.
And so those were real formative years. In fact, to this day, my favorite age group to work with is 7th through 9th grade.
Well, bless you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Takes a calling.
Yeah. I suppose. But I mean, that's the time when, even on the church side, I know it's a school podcast, but it's so intimately connected.
Sure.
That's when we lost one youth pastor.
Yeah.
And when Mike Verway came, I think it was my 10th grade year.
Yeah, it was my senior year. So
Yeah, so then it would have been 9th grade, because I was in 9th grade when you were a senior. So there was a lot of stuff going on at that time, and I was struggling spiritually. I knew God was real,
Yeah.
all that, but I was really questioning some things. And I even sat out of choir my 10th grade year, just some inner turmoil and different things. But that's when God actually stepped in. This would have been the year after you graduated. Well, God stepped in and actually called me to preach. So now I've got this whole other thing in my life, because I thought music was going to be my life. And now I'm called to preach. So for a while I thought, well, I'm going to have to give up music.
sure.
Right. And because I'm called to preach. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like an Abraham Isaac a little bit in my little 10th grade heart.
Yeah, that's unique. Let me ask you about that a little bit, because
Oops.
at least my observation in working with students and such, very few students even get to their senior year and have any real confidence about what is God's will for my life, what's the future look like. They know they want to, many that are sincere say, I want to serve the Lord and I want to do God's will, but having a confidence. So to have that, going into 10th grade, 11th grade, saying the Lord's called me to do this, what do you mean by that? Where did that come from? How did you have that confidence that this is what God would have me to do with my life?
Well, Calvary exposes us to so many great things. Choir drama tour was huge.
Yeah, we're preparing for this year's.
Yeah,
right now.
I figured it's about that time, right? So I'm seeing God work in the hearts and lives of not just fellow students at other churches or schools, but even faculty and
So
and
yeah,
stuff.
this is where it's awkward always on the podcast. I like to interject so people know we're choir
yes.
drama tour. For those that aren't familiar with that, our high school students that are in choir and drama prepare some choir numbers and a drama that's spiritual in nature, and they go to other Christian schools and they minister to those schools. And then they get an opportunity, as the Lord works in the lives of the students at those particular schools, to pray with them and to be iron sharpening iron. And it's a lot different because usually a speaker comes in and it's an adult, where this is teen on teen,
Right.
or teen to the children. And it just hits differently when it's their peers sometimes. And God works in unique ways. And where God works the most always is on our own kids, because they're repeating, rinse and repeat. They're seeing God use them. They're seeing other students at other schools respond,
Right.
and realizing I need to respond. And so similar to you, Lord used that a lot in my life and in so many students' lives. And so particularly, obviously, ministry focus that you
Right.
had. So you're saying some of the formative ideas.
Well, even
there.
I mean, you had Mr. Reese, as we knew him back in the day, on just a few episodes ago, and he would always close the time, and I remember just those powerful altar calls. And it was a different era. We don't always do everything the same.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
fine.
for sure.
We can adjust. But during those days, he would lay it out there pretty strong. And I remember, man, I just love the fact that people are responding. So, and then when Mike Verway came, he had a preacher boys class.
Okay.
And so, he was talking about how to form sermons, and I thought, I can do this.
Yeah.
And I love this. And then we had a missions conference. So the Lord's like bringing these things in, and really the speaker's irrelevant. It was just that, not that I mean, it was Don Sisk.
No, I understand,
He's great, but it was just the Lord was already working.
It was Holy Spirit, the Word of God. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The repetition of the idea.
Yeah, and I just on Tuesday night, I've heard one definition of the call of God. There's many, and they all have validity, but one is an unshakable assurance that God has singled you out for a specific purpose. And I like that one. Not God doesn't always lead everybody through lightning bolts, like
Sure.
you're gonna do this, and you just know. And
Martin
I know
Luther
that
in the thunderstorm moment,
Yeah, right.
Those aren't
Right?
always for everybody.
But in my case, it was, and you're absolutely right. It was a great advantage to me because now I knew the direction I wanted to go.
Okay.
That I needed to go. But then I did battle with music, and I don't know if now's a good time.
Yeah,
to
talk
about putting teams together.
No, you're on. Keep going.
So I had already put together a quartet, and your friend and fellow cohort now, Mark Dickerson, was my first bass.
Yeah.
I put together. It was called Academy Acapella.
Let's bring it back,
Well, I that was named after the acapella of the group.
Yeah.
But Academy Acapella, and I have the cassettes.
How cool.
But then I started thinking, why not put together, as I got to be a junior and a senior, and the fine arts competitions. Maybe you want to say a word about that.
Yeah, no, we host the fine arts competition. So our students in elementary go to Max Fine Arts, and they compete. That's for the first time in elementary school, primarily in music, and some start to get involved in speech stuff. And that's just rated. They don't like win or lose.
Gotcha.
And then middle school, they start to have, placing for second place and for second, third, and then ratings and such. And that continues in high school. And we host it every year, as you know, for the high school. And I love Max because I think, we do some things that are unique. Not every school does this. We have, in speech class in 10th grade, so they're all required to do something at Max. And when they do, many of them, they're not looking to do that. They don't want to be in speech. And, but it's funny how many of them, not, it's not every student by any means, but students that will perform, unexpectedly place, and then say, Hey, I've got an ability here. And maybe this is something I'm good at or whatever. And the same thing musically, kids can be in choir, but sometimes they get pulled into an ensemble, whether it's an instrumental or vocal, and start to realize that, maybe I can do this at a different level, and maybe God can use this. And really that's what it's about, right? It's preparation for service. I tell the kids sometimes there's not a lot of things we do around here that you're going to be doing in heaven. Probably, maybe, I don't know. Is there going to be basketball or volleyball or soccer and some of those types of things that we spend a lot of time and energy on, which are good things, and they teach a lot of lessons or value. But there's going to be music in heaven. We're going to worship with music and sing together. Yeah. So this is something you can practice that you're going to keep, getting better at through eternity.
I agree with you. Well, even when you were saying that, just some multifaceted things, I was also a hobby was sound. So Larry Macklin, who was here at the time on the church side, but he would train sound guys.
Yeah, and Larry went on every choir drama tour for decades.
Of course, and I can't believe I didn't mention that because he ran sound for those things, and I loved that. Of course, I was primarily acting and singing, so I couldn't run sound, but he was training me on the side to be able to run sound, and that's how I learned how to use stuff in the sound room. In fact, we used to be on local radio, and I remember during the week I would go up and I would record up in the upper room, the sound room.
Yeah, the little glass window's still up there. There's a little sound room up in the gymnasium at the main campus.
One week, I forgot to put things back because I wasn't really told I couldn't do these creative things, but I didn't really ask.
I got you.
So
Plugging the things in the right place.
I forgot to return something, and it errored. Well, that's a computer term now, but I mean, it messed up the Sunday broadcast.
Yeah, so that's the key to the story, right? Is that they built the school, and the gymnasium was where they met for church. They had the carpeted gym
before the sanctuary.
You got all those rug burns playing basketball and volleyball and everything. But that's why the sound room was in the gym, was because it was the sound for the Sunday morning worship service and for the radio broadcast, because we were on the radio on Family Life Radio forever. Yes. And so that was all out of that little sound booth up there. So people sometimes today, I think, come in and they don't know, because you have a sanctuary, we have a gym, and there's the sound booth. But that sound booth goes all the way back to when church was meeting in there for 15 years or so. And
yeah.
So yeah.
But I got banned.
Larry taught us all, because in drama, I remember learning to use that reel to reel and all that for sound effects. And there were a few students that were granted the special key, and I know you were one of them.
And it hurt when I got banned because of that. He's like, I can't, you got to have a punishment, you know?
Oh, he was strict.
Torture. He was strict. I mean, he had to be, because you couldn't risk. But long story short, the Lord combined all three of those things, because now I run my own sound. I record music and do a cappella stuff, and then I preach, and I use that wrapped up in a package as I travel. And, you know, and it all started here at Calvary. I'm grateful. I did go to Bible college. I actually went to Delta for a little bit too.
Sure.
Went to 2 different Bible colleges. I'm so grateful for those opportunities. But something that Mr. Reese said when I was still in high school, just kind of off the cuff, but he said a lot of people will give a lot of credit to their colleges they go to, and rightfully so. But he said, whoever gives credit to their high school, you know, well, CBA formed me more than my colleges. Sure. You know, I learned more, you know, I filled the cup more, but that cup was formed at CBA.
Yeah, recently, you know, if you watch the clip of Charlie Kirk, you know, and he speaks of his 5th grade teacher was the one who led him to Christ, because he asked questions and his teacher sat down with him and shared the gospel and the fact that he was a sinner and needed a savior. And he said that happened because of a Christian school and a 5th grade teacher. Man. And you know, you talk about who gives credit. Well, he did, but I know he also didn't go to college, because he dropped out and whatnot. But recognizing the value of our Christian school teachers in those formative years, be that elementary, junior high. You know, a recent statistic said that a young person's worldview is by and large locked in before they hit the age of 10 to 12. Like, it's like you don't see many people change their minds even after that early in life. Like, it's already pretty well solidified.
And I'm guessing that even if they do, they have to really do it on purpose.
Oh, it's you know, it's an unusual story usually of some sort of you know, intervention, you know, kind of a thing. So that's, you know, that's just that reminder. It's parents hearing your story about their commitment and having a school around that was, you know, influencing the same way they were,
and not quitting. I mean,
you know,
I'll be honest with you. There, you know, I didn't appear to be someone that you would have said, oh yeah, ministry kid. You know, that wasn't something you would have said of me in elementary as I was climbing the walls. Not literally, but you know, even in young junior high. I'll always be grateful that they kept giving me chances. You know, I was never labeled. That's what I'm after.
Fair.
Like, oh, he's the bad kid, you know, and because it could have happened.
Keep redirecting that, redirect it.
Just like, oh, you know, you can still do something for the Lord, you know,
so you started that quartet. Where did you kind of minister? What did that look like? Did you travel at all, other places?
Yeah,
or
so
did you only sing at school? Like, what did this look like?
Well, Academy a cappella was only at school, and we did talent show and things like that, some chapels. But then I thought, well, why not put together my senior year? I put together what I called the Bible Revival Quartet. Okay. And that was a mixed group of me and some underclassmen that, you know, we sang, and we would travel in the summers on Sundays to local churches. Okay. And we did that for 3 summers. I would come back from college and put the group back together and, you know, drive the van around and through mid-Michigan. Always be grateful to those pastors who opened up their pulpits to me so that I could, you know, cut my teeth.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, they some of them are with the Lord now, not as a result of me being there.
Sure.
But that, where did I find those people that were like-minded? And many of them went on into ministry. Kimberly Bash, Kirkpatrick, married Mark.
Husband's a pastor.
Yeah, and now I think they're in a missions organization now. He pastored in Bay City for a long time. Stephanie, formerly Beerline, is pastor's wife over in Bay City, and they're pastoring over there. And Candace Bolton, she got married, and her married name slipped out of my mind, but they ministered in a foreign field, closed country. I'm just running down the list. So many that went on in different ministry and such. And but anyway, I'm just so grateful for those opportunities and such, and a lot of fun along the way too.
Yeah.
So a lot of lessons, a lot of fun.
When did the music become, I guess, bigger than, it's going to sound maybe, and you can correct me.
Yeah, I think I know what you're going to say.
But it became what you were known for, I guess, when that maybe that was where you probably felt like people were inviting you to come sing or do a concert more than they were saying, "Hey, come preach."
Yes.
And music became the thing that you were known for. When would you say that took place, and how did that kind of settle your ministry trajectory, I guess?
Well, when did YouTube start? Was it?
Ooh, I'd have to look it up, but
yeah. Well, it was in the early days of YouTube, and I did because there's two aspects.
Probably not
to
as
this.
long ago as we think it did. Because
Right, I know, kind of scary, right?
We feel like it's always been around, but it's relatively new.
Well, I did a video where I illustrated doing the 4 parts.
Okay.
Excuse me, it's more than 4 parts, but I had 5 of me on the. I think back this would have been about 2008. So
Okay.
YouTube was, I think, 2005.
Yep.
So because I'm looking off screen and I can see it because they brought it up, which is pretty slick, but I'm not going to tell you that I did that. So YouTube was still pretty young, and it started going viral. Now I made a terrible mistake, and I accidentally deleted my account because it already had like several 100,000 views, and it was complete in and it was just shot on a handy cam. And it was grainy and all that. Now it looks horrible.
Is that the one that was in the sanctuary where you pop up all the different places? Or was
that was actually the first one, but that one didn't go viral. The second one did, which was complete in and I accidentally deleted my account and lost momentum.
Gotcha.
So who knows what would have happened? But enough people saw it that people started trying to find out who I was, and there's different stripes of churches, and
Sure.
if you know the Lord, we'll be in heaven together. But I do minister within kind of a more conservative group.
Yep.
And that conservative group thought that someone as creative as that could not possibly also be conservative.
Gotcha.
But then they started finding out that, he's like us. And so that changed things. And
Sure.
The second time something like that happened was when Patch the Pirate did a video with me on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that was huge. Now, I do want to say this because you've touched on something that has been a source of me going to the Lord a lot, because my primary calling is preaching. So preaching for me is king and music is queen. But then what do I do when someone only wants me for the music?
Yeah.
And that used to be a real struggle. And
Like
every
a
once in
rub,
a while.
almost like
Say that again, I'm
a
sorry.
little bit of a pride rub too, maybe. Like,
Well, there's some of that all mixed in, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, this is my calling. But I would say more of a tension, not a tension, but a tension point where, Lord, you called me to do this, but what about this? Well, one of the verses that really impacted me on that was, a man's gift maketh room for him. I understand that the context of that gift means something that you give.
Sure.
I know it doesn't mean like musical gift.
Spiritual gift, yeah.
Right? So, but you can make that application in a secondary way, that what you bring to the table opens doors. And so it was, more recently than I like to admit, that the Lord settled that. And it was like, all right, Lord, you're the one that defines me, not me. So I'll go where he wants me to go. I
would say too, like, I know it's a broader discussion, but music preaches in a certain way. Like, it speaks to, again, I don't want to overemphasize the emotional side of things, and
Sure.
imbalance things. But the reality is that, music speaks to us in a way that maybe a sermon wouldn't in a time of need. And the word of God is being communicated to my heart in a way that I need it through music. And so in a sense, realizing that I am preaching through music, it's a different medium, but it's what is preaching? Preaching is communicating God's word effectively and helping people to see what God is trying to say to us in expounding the word of God. And music is doing that at times. It's and sometimes even more effectively. You talk about even, why do we teach children Bible songs and little, you're trying to get the word of God, the lesson of that text to them in a way that they will hear it and own it and hopefully one day live it.
Right.
And so, I think there's that reality too, that maybe a call to preaching and music aren't as divided of tasks as we make them, right?
And I 100% agree. And so it's even tonight, obviously this will be after this airs, but, or before this airs, but we're doing a concert tonight and, I'm going to love it. Vocally speaking, it creates some challenges.
Sure.
So I've had to learn how to navigate that because, you preach a lot and then you try to sing. Those are two different kind of mechanics.
Yeah.
So that has been a challenge sometimes.
Yeah. We haven't spent a lot of time. So just briefly, tell me a little bit about how you met your wife. You said you're married and you have kids and your kids are adult kids now primarily.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that story and what a little bit about what they're doing and how life on the road kind of affected your family and such. Maybe.
Well, yeah, I met my wife at Bible college, the second Bible college I went to, and she's the oldest of 7 from a missionary family, and so I'm an oldest. Yes, Central Mexico. I'm the oldest of 5, so you got 2 oldest getting married. We have ideas on how to do everything, right? But we needed that, and I needed her, and we're a great match together. We had 4 kids, now 24, 22, 20, and soon to be 18. Okay. And we just grew up so tight-knit on the road.
How long have you been married?
26 years, yeah.
Okay, you passed the test.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I studied for that one. We were married in 99, so all I got to do is add one to the year, right? So, but it's nice being ministry empty nesters. I say that specifically because a couple of our boys still would call the house a home, where they are. Yeah. But they're all going in their different directions and doing different things, and all love the Lord.
Are any of them involved in music still? What does that look like? It's out of curiosity.
Yeah, in roundabout ways. None of one of our sons are we have son, daughter, son. Okay. And so Darren, who's currently 20, he just became a realtor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay.
And he's become the Sunday night song leader.
Okay.
So, and I'll announce it here for the first time. Okay. He has an incredible voice, and we're working on an EP.
Oh, nice!
And it's coming out before Christmas. Okay. And it's his voice his voice is higher than mine and brighter than mine, and
very good.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. So you said they're releasing an EP, an album, basically. Obviously today it's all different because digital and all that. And I'll
no more cassettes.
I'll get to that in a second. But how many songs have you released? How many CDs have you released, or albums, or I don't even know what they're called anymore, right?
Yeah.
But how many albums, I guess, have there been, and when was the first one and the most recent one, guy? Now, I guess.
All right. Well, the most recent, I'll work backwards. The most recent one's called Acapella 6, and it's like my 22nd solo album. Okay. So, I mean, there's a lot of them, and that doesn't even include the ones that are family that I'm on, or instrumental. We've produced, and that would include like my dad too, like doing a saxophone CD with my dad. But we've produced around 60. So some of those aren't in print anymore.
Sure.
And so it's kind of hard to say. But there was a group called Glad when we were growing up.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of a cappella stuff. And they did, I think it was 12 all a cappella albums.
Yeah. Be glad.
Yeah, exactly. Right. They did other stuff too
Oh,
that
yeah.
wasn't my jam. All right, but
yeah, no, they started with other stuff, and I think
they were a Christian rock band, which
Yeah.
isn't what I do.
no, but then
But-
I think they released like a acapella album for fun,
That's right.
and it became their niche.
Yep.
And they said, "This is working."
Yep,
and-
that was in 1989, the Acapella Project.
Yeah,
1.
then they weren't even doing the other stuff for a while there. Like,
Yeah, well, they would alternate.
okay,
But I mean, you still are a cappella fan,
Sure.
and they just released, was it 40, their anniversary album?
yeah, actually, since you asked,
Yeah.
I actually went to their 40th anniversary
you
concert in
serious?
Dallas. Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah, it was a
that's
couple years
awesome.
back. My mom and I, after my dad had passed away,
Yeah,
my mom and I took that trip together. Just do
that's
something
special.
But we went to the 40th anniversary of because I grew up with them,
Right.
and all that. So
Well, Glad was kind of like, I mean, there weren't rivals in the sense of like Michigan State, Michigan, but I was more on the Glad side because
Yep.
they were studio
Yep.
more.
No, I get it.
And acapella was more like street corner harmony.
Yeah, yeah,
But now I love them both.
yeah.
But I say all that simply to say it was like, how many acapella CDs did they release? Well, I want to release in my career the same number of acapella albums
Interesting.
as Glad.
Okay.
So, but then working all the way back, we've been recording for a long time. I did my first official album after my senior year of high school.
Okay.
And it had 22 songs on it. Half were sacred and the other half were non-sacred, like fun barbershop, things like that.
Yeah, very nice. So what has changed from those first CDs? Obviously, the professionalism, the studio and such, but in the world of digital, like where
Yeah.
YouTube Music, Spotify, like Apple Music.
You have access is the biggest thing because you can have access to so many different people just like that.
Sure.
And, maybe talking AI will be a discussion for another day because that's going to be a whole different thing.
I'm doing quite a bit of music with AI, Ben. I'm pretty good at it.
Well, see, there you go. That
So I'm a musician.
Yeah, that's where
I know where you're going.
Yeah, exactly.
And I understand I'm not, but it's still fun. It's still fun.
Everyone can be a musician.
Yeah.
And like The Incredibles, when everyone's special,
Yeah.
nobody is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to utilize great tools. Technology doesn't scare me. I love it.
Sure. But did that
keep the
affect you
human.
financially though? Like people don't need to buy your CD because they can stream it
Tons.
and that kind of thing.
So it takes 8,000. This is an average, but it takes 8,000 listens to make up for the cost of one album purchase.
Oh man.
So that
You mean one CD purchase?
one CD purchase.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So that has been huge. And in fact, how we make up the difference, I don't mind saying this, is that we actually have people who personally invest in our music.
Sure.
And through coffee. I used to think it was Ko-Fi, Ko-Fi. I was like, and then I saw all these little coffee cups. I'm like, why is it coffee? Oh,
There you go.
it's coffee. So, but we'll put our music out there on YouTube for free. Obviously, we want to be a blessing to folks, but it takes purpose.
Yeah, and you got to monetize it, and then like it's a whole thing.
Right.
And some people do really well at it, and but you have to, like you said, do a lot to get.
There's a lot of work. Yeah.
Well, a lot of work, but then also you have to get a lot of views to get to where it's.
Oh, yeah.
And
some people think, well, Everson, he brings in so much. Well, I mean, we have 7 million views, something like that. Over time, that's really not as much as some people think.
You get 7 million on one video, that's another story.
Right.
And that's
So it's about $100 a month
okay.
that we bring in. I don't mind letting people know that because some people think it's 1,000.
Yeah.
And nope.
Wow.
Plus, that means I got to add ads in.
Yeah.
And that's that conflicts with me so much.
Yeah, what the ad's for and who's selecting, and yeah. Well, if you could go back, kind of as we close out, if you could go back, just keeping it with the school theme and idea, if you could go back to school and find Ben Everson, maybe that you said you enjoy working with that junior high age, so junior high Ben making that transition from elementary into high school, what would you tell junior high Ben that you feel like kids today that are watching, if there's students out there, that would be an encouragement to them in their growing up years in a Christian school?
Well, it's going to sound a little weird perhaps, but I would tell myself, don't worry so much. We're in an age of anxiety now, especially even more than when we were growing up.
Oh, for sure.
But I formed some unhealthy worry patterns that I didn't even realize I had until much later. And I still wrestle with those things, just fear of the future, fear of health, just in general, and just trust the Lord, just follow him, and it will be okay. It doesn't mean you won't face challenges, of course, but that's what I would tell myself. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry so much.
Yeah. No, it's easier said than done, but yeah.
I don't know how profound that is.
Well, we live in a world of comparisons, and social media has only amplified that for our kids.
Right.
So
can you imagine if we had that?
Yeah.
Everyone would know all my mistakes that I made.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but everyone looks perfect on social media, and I'm definitely not. And they've got it all together, and I surely don't.
Right.
That's
hard.
That's hard. So, what would you say to our parents? As a parent, you've raised some kids now that are adults. You were a student at CBA. So when you look back, what would you encourage parents around Christian education, particularly the education you got at CBA, if you were to, and you've been in a lot of churches and a lot of schools, what would you say is unique to be thankful for at Calvary Baptist Academy, that if you were talking to a group of parents about that, we call it differential advantages. You kind of know what those are because you've seen the other opportunities and options, and saying, this is what makes Calvary unique, and that I'm thankful for looking back that parents might benefit from hearing.
Well, Calvary's top tier in a lot of ways. And we could talk technology, and we could talk, vision and all those different things, because that's all relevant. But what Calvary did for us was make it about the heart. And whether that's a heart for Jesus,
sure,
but also they encouraged the parents to get a hold of the kids' hearts, because even in our own, I tried to emulate that. We tried to emulate that. We didn't have the opportunity to send our kids to CBA because we're on the road all the time.
Yeah, of course.
So we homeschooled, but the lessons that I learned at CBA, we tried to integrate, which is it's not just about following rules, although that's important to have structure, but it's about the heart. So our kids each one of them have had to face some challenges.
Yeah.
Some pretty bad, some pretty hard challenges that I never had to face, but because we had a hold of their heart, they didn't drift away from God.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's been big.
Yeah, I think I would parallel that, and it's interesting. This is not scripted for moms and dads out there. It's scripted in that here's what we're going to talk about to kind of guide our conversation. But I don't know what Ben's going to say. He doesn't know what I'm going to ask. We've talked about things that weren't on the script just because of the way it goes. And our next coffee talk, we're going to be talking about the specific topic of the gospel, and the fact that the gospel is the most important thing in our kids' lives. And that's both before they come to Christ and then after they come to Christ. And at Calvary, we really want to strive to remind ourselves of that, remind our parents of that's the thing that matters. It's not all these other good things. And we surround our kids with lots of good things, whether it's academics or athletics or fine arts and all these opportunities that are in our community and in our school. But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that they get the gospel, and that they get that truth and understand that truth and live that truth. And that gives them, what you said to students, that gives me a confidence, because I'm created in the image of God, and God loves me, and I have a relationship with him, not because of me, but because of him. And I'm good enough because I don't need to earn anything. Anyway,
love it.
We get deep into it, but
you're getting excited for that coffee talk.
So we're gonna talk through that reality that's the most important thing in our kids' lives, no matter what age they are. And so, parents, I hope you will come to our coffee talk. I hope that you'll look to be a part of that. I hope that you'll look to be a part of our gatekeepers meetings, and soon to come our supper clubs. All these opportunities for us as parents to grow together and raise godly kids. But I appreciate Ben being here. I appreciate Ben as an alumni of CBA and serving here in our local church and being a blessing to us. If you've not heard Ben's music before, check out, I think it's beneverson.com.
Yes.
And you can check out his website there and check out his music. Also, you can go to YouTube and Spotify and search him and wherever you get music. I know he's on most of those streaming platforms. You can find his music there.
You have to say Everson, though.
Everson.
Yeah.
Everson.
Because it mispronounces the last name on Spotify and Pandora and all
now that you know the monetary part, maybe buy a CD or two. You know, I saw he was giving away a free one, and then I think once you get the free one, then there's like a second one.
You could choose other options.
That's cheaper and all this. But anyway, buy a CD, listen to the music. I know it'll encourage you and your family. And thanks again for listening to the Lions Roar podcast. I know we say this every time, but every time I notice there's a few more people that do. Subscribe, and share. The more viewers isn't about monetization or anything like that. It's just exposing more of our families to what we're doing here at Calvary, but also exposing families that maybe are looking for options for their kids in the realm of Christian education and letting them kind of know some of the things that we're doing at Calvary. And when you subscribe, it also makes sure that you get notified whenever we release a new episode. I hear all the time people, I didn't realize there was a new one out. We do our best to let you know, but if you subscribe, you'll never miss it. So thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Lions Roar podcast.